Welcome everybody to the meeting of OHA's Committee on Budget and Finance. It is Wednesday, January 14, 2026, and it is 10:52 a.m. I am officially calling this meeting to order. Present is our Vice Chairperson of the committee, Dan Ahuna, Trustee Hulu Lindsay, Trustee Aquina, Trustee Luana Alapa, Trustee Galuteria, and myself giving us the quorum. Okay, so I'm going to say this part right now. Aloha kako, this meeting can be viewed via live stream on OHA's website at www.oha.org/livestream. For those joining us on Zoom to testify or listen, please note that we are using the webinar platform rather than the standard Zoom meeting format. As an attendee, you will be able to watch and listen to the proceedings. If you wish to testify on a specific agenda item, please follow these steps. Raise your hand to indicate that you would like to speak. We will change your status from attendee to panelist when it is your turn. This may take a few seconds, so we appreciate your patience. As a panelist, you will be given 5 minutes to speak. You have the option to turn on your camera and unmute yourself to provide testimony. When recognized to testify, you are to speak to the agenda item that is currently being considered. If you begin to address another topic, the chair will issue a warning. Should you continue to speak on matters outside the agenda item, your speaking time for that agenda item will end. Once you have finished testifying, please mute yourself and you will be returned to attendee status. In addition to this, we ask everyone to please silence your mobile phones. Also joining us is Trustee Kaleakaka. And supporting us today is Crane Aquina and Melissa Wenahan. And at this time, also joining us is our Po Nui Keishan Kikina. And I will call Keishan to the table to introduce himself and the other support staff that's here today. Keishan.
Aloha kakayaka trustees. I know we are well into our 2026 in terms of our work, but also haole makahiki. This morning we have with us from our administration team our interim administrator and chief executive officer Summer Silva, our budget chief Grace Chen, our director of economics and business resilience Pony Askew, our director of communications Bill Brennan, and our IT systems engineer and administrator Daniel Santos. Mahalo nui.
Thank you, Keishan. We're moving on to the approval of the minutes. Members, I'm going to put on the table the minutes of May 27, 2025. Are there any changes to the minutes of May 27, 2025? Okay, if there are no changes to those minutes, can I get a roll call vote for their approval?
Okay, and no one signed up for discussion. Trustee Ahuna.
Aye.
Trustee Akaka.
Aye.
Trustee Aquina.
Aye.
Trustee Alapa. Trustee Galuteria.
Aye.
Trustee Kahele is excused. Trustee Lindsay.
Aye.
Trustee Souza is excused. Chair Waihe'e.
Yes.
7 yes votes.
Okay, members, moving on to the, I'm going to put the minutes of now December 17, 2025 on the table. Has anyone signed up to testify on the minutes of December 17, 2025?
No testifiers, Chair.
Okay, then members, are there any changes to the minutes of December 17, 2025? If there are no changes, can I get a roll call vote for their approval?
Trustee Ahuna. Sorry, Trustee Ahuna.
Aye.
Thank you. Trustee Akaka.
Aye.
Trustee Aquina. Trustee Alapa. Trustee Galuteria.
Aye.
Trustee Kahele is excused. Trustee Lindsay. Trustee Souza.
Aye.
Chair Waihe'e.
Yes.
8 yes votes.
Okay, the motions are approved. So now, members, I'm going to move on to new business, and I'm going to put on the table this motion, and then before we engage in discussion, I'm going to have someone explain what we're doing. But, so I'm going to put on the table to amend prior Board of Trustees action under action item BOT 2513, November 6, 2025, to eliminate the funding allocation of the previously authorized 6.1 million in OHA I Ola emergency assistance funding between the two OHA beneficiary groups for income bridge support, which is up to $1,200 per eligible individual, and essential needs support up to $350 per eligible individual, and authorize OHA administration to determine the funding allocation of the 6.1 in EOLA funding to meet the application demand. Is there any public testimony on this action?
No testifiers, Chair.
So, members, before I let you guys engage in discussion, I'm going to turn this over to Keishan to explain this, because it's kind of, it's not as complicated as it may seem. So, Keishan?
Mahalo nui, Chair. Yes, so I would like to call Pony Askew up to the table along with Summer Silva to go through kind of just a briefing of EOLA, where it stands today, and also kind of highlight the areas of why this amendment is needed.
Can you hear me okay? Okay. So good morning, Chair and trustees. This short update is meant to give you a clear picture of how EOLA Emergency Relief Fund is performing today and to set the context for the BF committee motion that follows. At a high level, the program is fully operational. The total funding amount remains unchanged at $6.1 million. And as of January 9th, approximately $1.6 million has been approved and dispersed, with funds moving out as approvals are made. This tells us the program is being administered steadily and as intended. What we're seeing now is that the two types of assistance are being used differently. Demand for income bridge support has been higher than we expected, and there are eligible applicants waiting because of the current allocation. And at the same time, demand for essential needs support has been more limited and has not grown at that same rate. In response, outreach and engagement efforts have been ongoing. Hawaiian Council, OHA's communications team, and community engagement have worked together to reach community organizations, conduct in-person outreach, use targeted digital outreach, and coordinated with service providers and retail partners, which I provided a slide deck as well as here on the screen for you to just see a little bit of the numbers that reflect the work that's been happening with outreach. So taken together, this update shows a program that is working as designed with safeguards in place, while also showing where flexibility may be needed based on how the assistance is actually being used. With that context, this update is intended to inform the BF committee motion you'll hear next. May I just turn it over to you, Chair, or questions about the slide deck?
Sure. Are there any questions so far? Okay, you can.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and so I just want to share really quickly that we, are really looking to, in this motion, remain with our original eligibility pool and really work towards achieving the goal of distribution to our essential needs support as well as our federal workers. And so this motion will allow the flexibility in doing that. I didn't want to read through the actual slide deck unless you guys want me to do that for you.
Okay, is there any discussion, members? Trustee Aquino.
Thank you very much. So I understand from what you've said that the reallocation is about shifting amounts between the two beneficiary target groups.
Correct, yeah.
In order to accommodate what has been distributed and what hasn't been distributed
Yes,
to each.
yes.
And to meet certain goals.
Correct.
Before recommending reallocation, was any evaluation of distribution done in terms of being able to ascertain that the monies that have left OHA have actually gone to the beneficiaries that they're intended for?
So per the contract, we are not exporting the exact audit information at this time. What they're providing to us on a weekly basis is the amount that's been committed to versus the amount that's been allocated, distributed per determination, whether it's federal worker or essential needs support. But per our contract with them, we are not doing export or auditing of that information until the end of this distribution.
Well, I would understand that the contract is important, and I would also suggest that the contract would not have anticipated this shifting of priorities, so this is ad hoc to the contract. But my question was evaluation of the program in terms of the integrity and efficacy of the program done before coming up with the recommendation to shift the priorities. And I did hear you say that according to the calendar of the contract,
Correct.
that's not scheduled to be done yet. And that's why I point out, according to the calendar of the contract, or the contract itself, it wasn't planned to shift the priorities.
If I may,
Yeah.
I thank you for the suggestion, and I think that there is an opening, especially now that we are shifting for requesting that kind of audit information. What I remain confident about is that the collection of that data, while it hasn't dropped into our databases yet, in part, and somebody can update me on that, OHA wasn't yet positioned to receive the data in the format. Sorry. OHA is working on positioning itself to be in receipt of that audited detailed information. And so that is the only pause on transferring those kinds of details in real time. And as soon as, our IT team in coordination with Hawaiian Council's IT team sort of overcome some of the reporting application differences, you have to reconcile, integrate the two, we'll be in position to receive it. But in the interim, we can ask for just old-fashioned hard copy kind of verifications or proofs, and they've been a good partner, and I suspect that they would be responsive to that. So we have not made that specific request, but we are poised to do so, and I can provide that information as quickly as it's produced to us.
I appreciate that. I'll just make a comment and then hand off to my colleagues for their questions. The reason that I'm raising this question is that the action we would take today would in effect extend this program. And while the purpose stated is merely to revise the program, I'm thinking it's good for us to evaluate before making that decision. And I'll follow up on that later on.
If I may respond to that particular point about the concern about this program extending itself either beyond the timeline provided for in the contract or beyond the sums of monies previously allocated by the board, those two benchmarks remain the same. There will be no timeline extension and there will be no funding increase. What we are asking for is sort of the discretionary authority based on data-driven facts that are provided to us in real time, actually on a weekly basis from Hawaiian Council, to pivot as necessary without requiring a board meeting, to allow for the program to continue in its contemplated form, but for that more rigid allocation, which was 90-10%, 80-20% at the outset. We need a little wiggle room in that discretionary allocation, but we don't need to expand the amounts needed to deliver these services to our beneficiaries in need, nor do we need an extension on the timeline.
Well, I appreciate your clarification, Summer, and I agree with you. I should have been clearer in my mention of what is getting extended. I agree with you that it is not the calendar of the program or contract, neither is it the total amount that will be dispersed from OHA. What is continuing is the program going forward, despite the fact that on a philosophical level, the conditions have changed. The type of emergency has changed since the board made the original decision and the original allocation. What we see happening is that the administration, doing efficiently what it should do, is looking for a more efficient allocation. But we have reached a point where we may have accomplished what we wanted to accomplish in terms of emergency. For example, the federal workers have been reinstated now, and they've received their back pay. And so we should be asking, because that was one of our rationale for the program's inception, does that condition continue? Are we in need of meeting the needs of our beneficiaries in that regard? So that was what I meant.
Appreciate that.
And that's why I'm raising the question, in a sense, should we be continuing the program? And I'll relinquish to my colleagues any questioning.
Trustee Ahuna.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I wanted to add to this and get more of a update, but I'm sorry, Trustee Aquina, I don't agree with anything you said. And the reason why I'm telling you this is because we did a good job. All the trustees you see on this board did a good job writing provisos for this, and I remember our CEO at that time, which was the interim CEO, saying that it's a heavy lift, and I know we can do it. So I'm not worried about that. What I am worried is I travel a lot. I'm sure Trustee Hulu Lindsay and Trustee Kaikahele travels a lot, and this is what I get every time I go through TSA. Hey, you guys, I'm put on the wait list. Hey, I'm put in the wait list. And the reason why they're telling you this, they're putting on the wait list, I've been receiving enormous amounts of people who working for the federal government and TSA saying they've been receiving this. Mahalo for applying to IOLA, OHA's Emergency Relief Fund. We truly appreciate your patience as we work together to support federal workers impacted by the recent government shutdown. At this time, the program has reached its current funding limit and your application has been placed on the wait list. We need to help the rest of the people. Yes, it changed, but not in the way that you said it, Trustee Aquina. I'm so sorry. We need to help our people. Those are the people that didn't get paid. They're on a wait list. So how do we move forward? What are we trying to accomplish today?
And it doesn't match what we're discussing on the table today. Not only 1.6 million has been issued, it's more like 3 million has gone out. And so I don't know what we're talking about. Are we giving more than $1,200 to a family? Or is it only the $1,200 because that's what we agreed on? Mm-hmm.
Workers are being put on a wait list. It's because the 20% of the allocation has run out. So this would allow them to be to be served because they can they'll have more freedom to reallocate money from one side to the other, right? I don't. Maybe someone can explain it better.
Yeah. Trustee Lindsay, if I can clarify a couple points for you. Actually, for what you're seeing in terms of, oh, sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay, perfect, right. So there is not 3 million, yeah, it's 1.6 million that have been approved and dispersed. The reason why the numbers don't match is that people can be approved and the money has yet to be dispersed to them. So those are our metrics for tracking. So it is at 1.6 million. I will say that as of this morning, there are 261 individuals that are on the wait list for the income bridge support factor. So the split of 80-20 is what is being proposed to be amended. And
From 80/20 to what?
that's for the board to determine. And I also would like to say that the 261 individuals on the wait list are fully approved and vetted and ready to be awarded.
If we were going to give 350 to SNAP and 1,200 to the laid off workers, that should have been assumed in splitting this money. Because questions like this, naturally the trustee is going to be questionable. What's going on, you know? Chair. Uh-huh.
Hardest population to reach, right? Those are the kapuna, those are people that do not have dependents. And we're kind of seeing that right now with the data that we are receiving from the Hawaiian Council. Mahalo nui.
Trustee Kaheller.
Thanks, Chair Wahe. Thanks, trustees, for your questions. And let me try and answer a few of these. I think this is a pretty straightforward action item. Your questions are valid, and I think I can provide some clarity. So first and foremost, when this contract was issued with Hawaiian Council, the contract in its entirety was distributed with all of the Board of Trustees, which doesn't usually happen very often, but this was done in the utmost of transparency. And so each of you received the contract that was executed with Hawaiian Council. That contract terminates on May 6th, 2026. If you reference the time of performance on the contract, that's when the emergency relief aid ends. It was initiated on November 7th, 2025, and it ends on May 6th, 2026. So to Trustee Akina's question, we are not extending what we had already approved. The contract in its entirety will run through May 6, 2026, at which time either all funds have been expended or a future action will be brought to this board, or the program will cease to exist, and whatever funds were not expended will return back to its original source. In terms of what we're being asked to do today, Keishan just indicated that we have about 200. Keishan, what is the exact number? 231? We have 261 fully approved federal Native Hawaiian civil service employees that applied for the program, but their approvals came in after the full 1,000 applicants that we had originally approved were met. And it's my understanding that there was one additional applicant. 1,001 have been distributed $1,200 checks. Is that correct? Okay, so we have 261 applicants that are fully approved. Hawaiian Council is ready to distribute the $1,200 disbursement to them. They've been waiting for over a month now. Many of them were in the mid-December timeframe, pre-Christmas. And with our action today, as was Kuhio Lewis's recommendation, we will clear that 261 immediately with an affirmative vote of this modification of the program through this AI. So the 261 will be taken care of. That will mean that 1,262 Native Hawaiians that work for the federal government that were affected during the government shutdown will have received a $1,200 emergency relief stipend from OHA. That portion of the program will then stop. Hawaiian Council has not taken any more applications, will not vet any more applications, and that portion will cease to exist. But we will have serviced 1,262 applicants that applied for the program and received the $1,200 stipend. So that money is now distributed. The second part of it is the SNAP recipients. Now, if you remember, the governor's program was focused on SNAP recipients that had families. Our goal was to meet what the governor's program and what the state's program was not meeting, were those Native Hawaiian SNAP recipients, largely kupuna that live at home by themselves, no dependents, that were not receiving any relief aid from the governor's program. That is our beneficiary target audience. That has been challenging to reach because of the amount of effort, the coordination with DHS that needs to be done, the very, very stringent private information that DHS holds on these SNAP beneficiaries, and the ability to share or not share that information has been challenging. So Hawaiian Council has done their best up until this point. They're continuing to innovate on ways to get out into that into our community so that we can continue to distribute those $350 emergency relief stipends. But that hasn't fully been met yet. And they have until May 6th to do it the best they can to do that. We're going to start to work more closely with Hawaiian Council and the Department of Human Services to see if we can access those databases while preserving the confidentiality of the recipients so that we can move that money. Our goal should be to put every single penny that we dedicated into the hands of those SNAP recipients that are Native Hawaiian, that do not have dependents, that largely live alone, and the majority of them are kupunas. They're not in mainstream media. Many of them are not online. They are hard to reach. And so the council is doing their best to reach them, and they're going to continue to do that over the next few months. If we approve this, we clear the 261, and now we focus only on that SNAP beneficiary category. The last point to Trustee Lindsay's point was the reason why the $350 was where it was is because we were matching or coming as close to what the state was doing, because if the number was higher, it would have affected their eligibility for future SNAP payments, and they potentially could have been ineligible under the federal guidelines to receive SNAP. That's why the number is at $350. Would have been great to give $1,000, $1,500. We weren't able to do that without affecting the individual's future eligibility under the federal guidelines for SNAP. That's why, Trustee Lindsay, the number is where it is. What we were hoping is to be able to service 15,000 Native Hawaiian without dependent SNAP recipients. We're nowhere near that because it's harder than we had anticipated to reach them. But we're doing our best to do that, and we're coming up with other ways to do that. But basically, that's what this action item is before the board today. I fully support it. I think we should all support it. To Trustee Ahuna's point, let's clear the backlog of the 261, and then let's focus on the ones that need really the money the most, the ones that are struggling paycheck to paycheck, can't put food on the table. Even this $350 relief aid will help them tremendously, but we need to be able to reach them. And honestly, that's a boots on the ground, community outreach, leveraging partnerships to do that. It's not as easy as we thought. Mahalo, Chair.
It's very difficult because there are many that are not online. They don't have the access that others do, especially to technology, so they're left out. They're left out in the cold. What I want to know is, The last time we had Hawaii Council in, for example, on the island of Molokai in our office to receive beneficiaries and to be able to apply for the beneficiary, for the SNAP program and so forth. Are we going to continue that, or we pretty much reach, that was just a one-shot deal?
I can answer that question. I know
Yes,
that Hawaiian Council is committed to continuing to go out into communities to do that. And so I would, without speaking for them, I would almost guarantee that they would say yes, Trustee Alapa, that they will be coming back to Molokai for a second round of, and hopefully future rounds of community engagements. But yes, they are committed to doing that.
That is such relief, because there's still many folks that have not been able to receive any of our benefits, especially those who live in remote areas. And I would love to see the second round of them coming in that we can do with our Molokai staff to go out and prepare for the arrival and to go into these areas that our kupuna especially do not know of these benefits for them. So that would be great. Thank you.
A follow-up question about that.
Trustee Lindsay.
In regards to the 350, because I haven't heard much here on Maui.
Mahalo, I can answer that question if it's okay. So in coordination with Hawaiian Council, actually, I'd like to also speak to what our internal team has been doing as well. And so for community engagement, they have already, Trustee Lindsay, hit Hawaii Island and Molokai as well. For Hawaii Island, there was 3 different sites that they visited through Hope Services, and then there's also plans to do outreach through Salvation Army, and then Kupuna Housing Outreach for Molokai. And so I know that community engagement is also looking into ways to reach Maui as well in coordination with Hawaiian Council. And so I think what I'm hearing loud and clear is how do we champion this moving forward, and maybe to provide an update of a really succinct plan that both Hawaiian Council and our internal teams have, along with comms and how they're coordinating and collaborating with Hawaiian Council.
Absolutely. I cannot see an island or 2 being left out. I want to be sure that our people on Maui get equal opportunity to that money.
Definitely synchronize with everyone and provide a report back onto a plan for deployment moving forward.
Yes, and I would like to have a report of what they have done, if anything, for Maui.
Trustee Kahele, did you want to?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I want to be mindful, Chair, of raising my hand and making sure I get recognized. Yes, Chair Emerita, absolutely. And I think, each individual trustee, all 9 of us on the different islands we serve, are more than encouraged to work hand in hand with Hawaiian Council to, leverage the networks that we have and the relationships that we have to get this portion of the allocation out. And so I'll make sure, Chair, that I convey that to the Hawaiian Council and that they reach out and set up one-on-one, should a trustee want to work together with them, one-on-one opportunities to hone in on that target beneficiary group that we really want to serve. I know they're willing to do that.
Thank you.
Yeah, and just to sort of confirm some of that offering, on the island visits to Hawaii Island and to Molokai, the initial reports from CNHA were, we can't just be boots on the ground on like one day. There needs to be a little bit of a lead up in terms of comms, in terms of informing the communities that we're, going to, that we will be there on such and such date from such and such time, and that they appreciated after their, piloting, if you will, just putting bodies in OHA offices in order to be receiving beneficiary applications, that a comms plan that had enough of a runway to make their time and expense on those islands more efficient, successful. I will also say that whatever data we end up receiving in terms of our ability in partnership with Hawaiian Council, maybe even in partnership with DHS, that informs how OHA can overcome what are really structural and systems barriers, not program failures, not operational failures on the administration of this program, but like really understanding who our beneficiaries are and how to meet highest need beneficiaries who don't have the kind of access that maybe our own comms teams are, directing their energies and efforts towards. All of that data that helps us overcome the barriers that the challenges that we're now encountering in disseminating the SNAP funds will serve our community engagement team, our BSA team, our grant and funding team exponentially beyond this one program. So we're invested in sort of remaining committed to this population because they deserve not only our EOLA program access, they deserve access to all of our opportunities, all of our services. And our ability to effectively and efficiently and timely reach them is going to be well served by the data provided out of this particular project.
Trustee Alapa.
Okay, so in regards to the data, and I'm sure we're going to receive an update as to how many of our beneficiaries, especially from each of the islands, have signed up. Last I heard from Molokai was about 37, and I'm sure maybe the numbers have increased. But I found that out back in, was that November, December, when they were there that one time, just that one time. And naturally, we've got obviously hundreds more or thousands more on Molokai that haven't heard about the program yet and whatnot. So that's why I'd asked about the second round. Will they be able to come back and give us enough time knowing when they're going to come back so we can get our BSAs out there? And I'm going to assume the same for the neighbor islands to get their BSAs out there to let people know, hey, this is what's happening. We have another second round, blah, 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 and so forth, that we can get that to those who didn't know about it and deservedly so need it badly. So I'm glad that we're going to be able to continue that, but I would like those numbers eventually so we know that we did reach as many of our people as possible. Mahalo.
Okay. Are there any other questions, members? If they're not, can you put up the? So I'm going to, just to clarify to everyone that this is the motion that we're discussing. If there are no further questions or comments, I'm going to get a roll call vote on this motion that's up there now, just so you guys know. So if there's no, if there's, Trustee Kahele.
Thanks, Chair. Just for our trustees' awareness, should you decide to support the action item, because of the urgency of this action item and the ability to clear the 261 imminently, should this pass, this will be on our Board of Trustee agenda on Friday, and I will be requesting the Hawaiian Council, their representatives, if not Kuhio himself, to come to our board meeting, which convenes at 1 o'clock on Friday, to be able to answer specific questions you might have. So rest assured that if this moves out of BNF today, we'll have representatives from Hawaiian Council to answer your questions on Friday for final approval. Mahalo, Chair.
Trustee Aquino.
Thank you. I want you to know, all of you, that I appreciate the intention of the program and all of our hearts. I think we're together, and I voted for going forward with it. But I voted with some concerns about the process. And now that we've come to a place where some goals have been met and others have not been met, I don't know if we have to be committed to spending the entire $6.1 million. That's the question I'm raising. Of course, we have to balance that with the fact that we've contracted for this already, but it doesn't stop us from raising the question. The initial concerns at the beginning that constituted the emergency we talked about, many of those concerns have been met with the reinstatement of certain beneficiaries already. So that's what leaves available, in my understanding, the funding. That could result in at least two options. One, find a way to spend that money, or don't spend it, and consider that the criteria that is set up is what we did from the beginning, and we'll stick with that. I think that's an important stop and evaluation point, and I just am concerned that we're moving past it pretty quickly. So when I vote no, it won't be because I'm against the benefits of this program. I'm very much concerned about our stewardship of our funds and our processes. I could say other things, but I wanted to sum up with just that. Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Trustee Hulu Lindsay.
I just would like to have, maybe we can, Chair Kahele can ask Hawaiian Council to give us a breakdown on the islands that received these monies so that we have an idea how this need was met, on particularly on Maui, and because I hear Hawaii Island and Molokai, but I don't hear Kauai and Maui. So I want to know how much money Maui got. So if we could see the breakdown of the payout, I want to know that.
Report breakout by island. So we'd be happy to
Thank you.
provide that for
Okay,
you.
thank you. Thank you.
Okay, Trustee Kahele.
That message to Hawaiian Council and ask that we have at least a snapshot look at that when we bring this on Friday, should it move out of BNF today. I guess the second thing I would just say in response to, Trustee Akina and his concerns are that when we approved this action item, it was prior to major federal changes and policy that were going to impact millions of Americans across the country due to the Trump administration's amendments to federal SNAP guidelines. And that has affected SNAP recipients here in Hawaii, potentially even the group of beneficiaries that we feel are most vulnerable and need our support the most. And so part of the difference between when the government was shut down and this came before the board and today is that new federal sweeping guidelines have taken effect regarding the SNAP program, and that has affected and potentially has affected our beneficiary group that we're hoping to help. And so I do believe that over the next few months, even if it's a $350 stipend one time for an individual that potentially was affected because of the new federal guidelines and policies, that will go a long way to help our beneficiaries, and that it is worth it, and that we should continue to support this initiative at least through the contract termination date in May. Mahalo, Chair.
Thank you. Is there any other questions or comments? So once again, I'm going to put up the motion just so that you guys are clear on what we're voting on. So this is the motion, and is there one more chance to have any questions or comments? If not, then can I get a roll call vote to approve this motion?
Trustee Ahuna.
Aye.
That was an aye, right? Okay, sorry. Yeah, thank you. Trustee Akaka.
Aye, sorry, I don't know if you heard it.
Got it, thank you. Sorry, Trustee Akaka.
Aye.
Mahalo. Trustee Akina.
Aole.
Trustee Alapa. Trustee Galataria.
Aye.
Trustee Kahele.
Aye.
Trustee Lindsay.
Aye.
Trustee Souza.
Aye.
Chair Waihe.
Yes.
8 yes, 1 no.
Okay, the motion passes, members. Moving on now to adjournment. Can I get a motion to adjourn? It's been moved by Trustee Souza. Any discussion, members? Can I get a roll call vote?
Trustee Ahuna.
Aye.
Trustee Akaka.
Aye.
Trustee Akina. Trustee Alapa. Trustee Galataria.
Aye.
Trustee Kahele.
Aye.
Trustee Lindsay.
Aye.
Trustee Souza. Chair Waihe.
Yes.
9 yes votes.